Hello everyone, through this video, I'm just going to explain how you can install a Minikube, which actually provides you the way to just have a Kubernetes cluster on your local machine. And we know that, installing, such application like Minikube, kubectl, which is a client for the Kubernetes cluster, it's quite cumbersome when it comes to a window, right? So I'm just going to explain how you can set up a window in such a way that the installing not only the Minikube but all the required utilities like kubectl and others will be very simple and smoother for you, right? So let's first understand what is the prerequisite you need for this particular video to follow along, and then I'll just explain you each and every component which you need so that you will be having a Minikube install where you can have your local Kubernetes cluster up and run. Right. So the very first thing which you will be needing, as you can see on my screen, is Chocolatey, which is a packet manager. It's pretty much same like if you have any experience on Linux, like app, or yum, and then homebrew on, iOS machines, right? So it's a package manager where you don't have to download the installer, which we usually do for installing any application or Windows. Right. So how we can do that, right? So here we are going to use a PowerShell with the admin. So all you need to do is just type a PowerShell, then you will get this option where you have to just choose a run as an administrator. And when you do that, you will be prompted into this particular terminal. Right. The very first thing which you have to do to install a chocolate is you can just come down here and you can just see if you want to subscribe, you can do that since it's an individual one. And then you can see all these steps which you need. Now we have to run some interesting command. If you just run this get execution policy, which will actually provide you, what kind of policy is currently set when it comes to execute any, right? So if I just run this, now you can see this is a remote sign, right? So what does it mean, right? So that is where, things get a little bit tricky, right? And I just wanted to explain what kind of response it does. So whenever you run this command, right, it actually provides what kind of policies set on a window to run any script which you are going to download. So there are 6 different, categories like restricted, all signed, remote signed, which we are seeing on the screen, unrestricted, bypass, and undefined. And this is really important to understand what the execution policy is currently set for you. Restricted is the one which is most secure. All signed with the policy, you can run only the script that have been digitally signed by the trusted publisher. So this is definitely the recommended one. If you have an option where you think that, okay, frequently you are going to run the script when downloading from the website. Remote signed is the most common one. It is allow you to run your own locally created script without a digital signature, right? So these kind of things you can just understand. Unrestricted means there is no restriction whatsoever, and you will always get to warning like whenever you just want to install a unsigned script. Same with the bypass. Bypass is more lenient one where you can just run any script without any warning. But I would say if you even have a remote sign, we are good there. Right now we have some scopes as well, right? So let's first quickly run this command and see what are the scope we have defined. So I can just quickly run this. Okay, I just need to run this command. So now we can see current user is remote sign, which is the current user, right? So we are good because what we want is, I mean, if you want, I can just quickly explain you the meaning of all these things, which you can see on my screen. Machine policy set by the group policy for all user of the computer, but since it's an individual one, we should not be worried about, and affects only the current user, and that's the right one to have. And this is what we want, right? So now what you will get is on the website itself, you will get this command, which is quite interesting one, and it's not easy to understand, right? So, but I will just explain you each and every part. If you just see that command, this command has 3 parts, right? The first one is this one, which I am highlighting. Set execution policy, bypass a scope. Scope is process and force, right? So if you just read through this, then you will understand, right? So this is the first part which we are going to run. So what this does, it set the execution policy. This is the PowerShell command used to change the execution for the policy for the script. We are using bypass, and if you just see, this is what the bypass means. This is the most lenient policy. It allows any script to run, but since it is in our current session, so once we out from this terminal, this will not be applicable for the rest of the session. So we are good. Scope is process. So we can see here we have this process which is only going to affect the current PowerShell execution, and that's the reason we are using these parameters here. And force, what is force? This parameter suppress any warning messages whatsoever. right? The second one is related to this. This is the section where this segment is the command to ensure secure connection when live downloading the installations. You can read this document. It is just giving, I mean, what precisely these commands. Because when I just got this command, I was really confused what each and every part is doing. And this is where the actual IEX is the command where actually the downloading and the installation is happening. So this creates a new web client object, which is capable of making a web request, and then it is downloading it. This method download the content of a specified URL, which we have given this one. If you just see the command, this is how it looks like. This is the command, so we are good, right? So this is how, this command is actually structured. And then this IEX is the alias for the invoke expression command, which we already know, right? So let's quickly run this command. First, let me just copy from the website itself. I'm going to copy this. Since I have already installed it, so you won't see anything here. So it's just saying the warning ki like Choco is already set up here. So you can see this is going to be set up here, so you don't have to worry about it. All you can do is you can quickly run this Choco command and see what is the version which you are running. And you can just use all these various commands like okay, question mark, dash, and you can just see all the options. Once you have Choco, then it's very easy to install, the Kubernetes command line tool through which you can just make the connection to the Minikube. So the very first thing which we're going to do, there are two options on the kubectl. If you search for the kubectl on Windows, this is the page where you are going to land up. And here we have this install Kubernetes binary. So it's you have to download first and then you have to just follow this step. But the easiest way, since we already have a Chocolatey installed, which is the package manager, so we are going to click on this and this is how you can simply run this. So you can simply go here and you can just run this command. Right, and you can just give this, right? Once this is done, it is already installed, and then you can just check whether it is installed correctly or not. So you can just quickly run this command and see whether this is up and running. So now we can see the client version, which is 1.332, and then the customized version as well, right? So now kubectl is done. The same thing what we have to do for the Minikube. Since we are going to use the Choco, so we are going to just click here. So you can just choose how you want to do it, whether you want to have your MSI or you want a package manager. Since we have Chocolatey, so it's very straightforward. All you need is Choco install Minikube, which is a pretty much same command what we do with apt on a Linux-like environment. Since Minikube is already installed, so we are good here, right? And then we can simply run some command to ensure the Minikube is correctly running or not, right? We can just start with this Minikube start command to just have, the very first cluster up and running. This is the first thing. It is going to take some time, but the one thing is, if you want to use a driver as a Docker for Minikube, then you should have your Docker install as well. Otherwise, you have to rely on a Hyper-V, which is a virtual machine where you are going to use a Hyper-V to actually run the virtual machine, which is a component of a Microsoft itself, right? But that is required a lot of other things to be done. So now once you have this command, that is how you can just have your Minikube cluster up and running. And through kubectl, you can just interact with that Minikube cluster as well. Right. So that's it from my side for this video. If you have any comment or any suggestion, or if you face any issue while setting up, the Chocolatey, the Choco packet manager, or the kubectl, or the Minikube, feel free to put that into the comment section, and I would love to help on them. And I know there are a few things on window when it comes to a window, it becomes a little tricky, right? So it seems like now our Minikube cluster is up and running. We can just quickly use this kubectl to get nodes, which are going to give how many nodes Minikube is having. Since it's a one node cluster, so we are just getting this. We can also get the namespaces if we would like. So these are the some namespaces which Minikube has created for itself, like default cube. So these are some default namespaces where the Minikube specific pods are up and running so that they can facilitate this one node cluster, right? And same thing we can do with get pods. So we can simply get pods in a specific namespace. Like, okay, we can simply say the kube public, and then we will get the there is no resources in kube public. Let's quickly search for the kube system as well. right? So now we have bunch of pods which are running. If you just see, these are some component which is actually required to have a Kubernetes cluster. We can see etcd where the state is actually being stored. Then we have an API server which actually help us to just interact with the outside world through the Kubernetes cluster. Then we have Kubernetes controller, then the proxy and the scheduler, and we all understand all these components if you have an understanding about the Kubernetes. So that is how you can just set up your Minikube and you can have your local cluster, the Kubernetes cluster up and running. You can interact with the kubectl with the help of a Choco package manager. So that's it from my side for this video. If you face any issue, just feel free, as I mentioned, you can just put your problem or the error you are facing in the comment section of my video, and then I would love to help you on that. So that's it from my side for this video. Thanks for watching this, and as always, stay healthy and keep learning new things.